everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Lori, and I want to talk to you about not falling in love with the idea of how you want something to be and accepting it for what it is. Yes, I have a podcast topic coming out on this, lots of different content coming out on this, but it's so important that you understand this, especially while I'm recording this. It is the week of Thanksgiving, right here in the States. This does not, listen, this could pertain to any time of the year, not just a holiday, but especially around the holidays, right? Because everybody goes into this weird expectation of what they think it should be. Let's not get too married to the idea of holidays, okay? They're just days. They're just another day, all right? If you're grateful, you should be grateful all the time, right? So it shouldn't just be that, but not just around the holiday, but it's important that you understand that just because you want it to be a certain way doesn't mean that it has to. See, remember, you are only in control over yourself. Everybody has free will. Yeah, everybody has free will, which means they don't have to do it the way that you want it to. So and I'd say Disney doesn't do this as much anymore, right? Because they have like superheroes, or I guess, girls who are like strong now and they don't need a man and they can do right. But growing up, that's not how it was, right? It's like, oh, you need this guy to come in on this horse with his sword drawn. He's going to kiss you. He's going to save the world. Okay, that creates really bad expectations, right? Because it's a fairy tale. Like, it's literally a fairy tale. You don't want the fairy tale, right? True love should never be about your heart skipping beats and pitter pattering and, oh my God, you're so excited. No, no, no. True love should be peaceful, patient, kind. Everybody has like chill. That's true love. True love isn't infatuation. It just isn't. So you also have to remember that just because you have an idea of how you want something to be doesn't mean it has got to be that way, meaning with family. So sure, you could look and be like, hey, I want this perfect little family, which again doesn't exist. I grew up in a time where I watched Leave It to Beaver. I'm going to date myself here. Leave It to Beaver, Partridge Family, Brady Bunch, and you could see all of the family getting together and everybody would have adversities, but they'd be fine. Go behind the scenes of every single one of those shows and you'll see that there was a little bit of toxicity with all of those shows, because it's an unrealistic expectation to think this is how I want it to be. This is how I need it to be. No, you don't. You have to accept it. Radical acceptance is your bestest friend. It's the best DBT skill on the planet, is to accept that it is what it is. You don't have to like it. And they don't have to like it either, right? So, anything I say to you will also pertain to you. So vice versa, if you're doing something that other people like think that you should be doing something different and it's not moving the needle for you and it doesn't feel like it would be protecting your peace to do it, then don't do it. See, you're falling in love with an idea, you're fantasizing it, you're romanticizing it, which is also why you have a hard time after a relationship ends. Whether it be a friendship or a love relationship, doesn't matter. You have a hard time with it because you're like, well, but I wanted it to be different. Okay, but you're not the only person in this scenario, right? It's kind of like when people say, well, I could change this person. Don't ever do that. If you are ever going to be in a relationship with somebody of any sort, stop trying to change them. No, they do not have to change for you, nor should they, because they will carry a lot of resentment towards you, a lot of resentment towards you. And again, I have a podcast topic coming out on this, and we'll go a lot deeper into it. But it's important that you know that, especially going, like I said, into these holidays, but any day, right? Is don't say how you think you want it to be, and the idea of like family and relationships and a peace, love, and happiness. Yeah, but that always starts inside of you. Remember this, if you're not good with yourself, by yourself, you're not going to be good in a marriage, because you're not good with you. In a marriage of any sort, not just like a coupledom, that's not real, but it's not like a couple, like friends, you're still coupled up. There's a level of love, a level of intimacy. I don't care who you are. You're opening up, they're opening up. There's a level of intimacy that comes with that. So it is a couple. So as you're going through that, you never want to try to force a scenario. You don't want to force it to be what you want it to be. And you don't want to try to change someone to fit that narrative. No, it's not weird science. This movie, Weird Science, that's what they did. They created the perfect woman, right? Kelly LeBrock, she was amazing in it. But the reality is it's not real. That's television. So when you can understand that, the more you try to put emphasis on how you want a relationship to be, how you want a situation to be, what you think life should look like, that's fine if you're going towards it for yourself. If you're like, hey, what goals do I want? What kind of things do I want to achieve in my life? And why? Cool. But it's in your control for you and for you alone. When you start dealing with other human beings, adult children, parents, spouses, coworkers, workers, bosses, these are people who have their own way of life. These are the people with their own free will. Stop trying to change it, because I'm going to tell you right now, if somebody was to change for you, eventually there will be resentment there. If you change for somebody, number one, you're not being true to who you are. Don't change for people. No, you don't have to be everybody's cup of tea. I'm not going to be them. You're not going to be them. It's how life works. None of us is going to, not everybody is going to vibe with us, and we don't vibe with everybody. That's the reality. Just because you want to vibe with this person, don't do that. Now we go into codependency. Now you're like, I have to have this in order to be happy. No, if you can't be happy with yourself, you're not going to be happy with other people or situations. Stop looking and thinking, oh, if I was richer, I'd be happier. If I was this, I'd be happier. If this person did this, I'd be happier. If this person would just, no. External sources will never give you internal peace. And it's so important that you grasp that. And that's what radical acceptance is accepting it for it is what it is. You don't have to like it. See, that's the big thing with your ego here. Go out to the Ego Death series here on YouTube. That's the beautiful thing with the Ego Death series, is it helps you lower that ego. When you can't release something, you think you're protecting yourself. You're not. You're imprisoning yourself. Now, you don't have to mess with those people. If things aren't moving the needle, distance. Don't try to understand their why. Don't try to change it. Don't fall in love with an idea. That's why people have a hard time releasing relationships, or even people who've crossed over when they've passed away. You're glorifying and you're remembering it how you think you want to remember it, but not everything is all good or all bad. So you're only fantasizing and falling in love with the idea of what you think it would be. Oh, if this would have happened, my life would have been so much better. You don't know that. It would have been different. Facts. You don't know it would have been better. Yeah, I do. No, you do not. You don't. It would have been different. So you have to see things for what they are. If you have a family member, a sibling, a parent, and they're distant, or maybe they're going through something and you don't understand it, or maybe they're just reclusive, and that's them. Stop trying to change it. Stop trying to understand it. Stop trying to make it into the relationship that you want it to be. Stop it, because then you're messing with people's free will. No, hard pass on this one. Hard pass. Everybody doesn't have to understand what makes you tick, and vice versa. So I want you to be mindful of that as we're going through these upcoming weeks, and anytime that you're watching this, it could be in the middle of summer. I don't care if it's a family vacation. I don't care if it's a picnic. I don't care if it's a Christmas dinner. Stop trying to make it what it isn't and then get mad when it doesn't meet the expectation of how you wanted it to be. No, Maya Angelou said this, if someone shows you who they are, don't judge them, first of all. If someone shows you who they are, believe it for what it is. You can be upset about it, but again, it's not going to affect anybody. And I promise you, you don't want people to change to fit in your narrative. Eventually it will breed resentment. It will breed resentment. If you feel the need to go through somebody's socials or who are they following and all that stuff, get out of the relationship. You don't own people. It's not a place of ownership. Don't bring your past up and then have this fantasy of what you think this relationship with this new person is going to be. So you bring all of these red flags from this other relationship into this relationship, and then you expect this relationship to be different because of how you want it to be with this person, and then this person has to like coddle you because of your past. No, you're not accepting it for what it is. Let it come, let it stay, let it go. If it's not moving the needle, go forward. And if you're not moving the needle for somebody and your relationship isn't, they have that right to distance. Yes, they do. They don't owe you a million explanations, because you're not always going to like it. They might be like, yeah, you're negative all the time. If somebody is negative all the time, it makes it very difficult to be around. I was that way through most of my teenage years and early 20s. I was in the biggest victim mentality space in my life. And I talk about it. You'll see it in one of the chapters of my book when it comes out. But it's not going to serve you any purpose. Your negativity doesn't make people want to be around you. It makes you a victim in a victim mentality. In turn, people definitely don't want to be around that. And that's why it's yours to process. So stop falling in love with this glorified idea of what you think life should be and how you think it should be. It's not just going to magically appear. That's not how the universe works. We're going to talk a lot about manifesting and abundance and stuff on upcoming podcasts in the new year and stuff. But yes, you got to be careful with that. Got to be careful with that, because that's what's holding you back. Then you get your feelings hurt, then you get codependent, then you get angry, then you get entitled because things aren't going the way you think they should go. Accept them for what they are. It's an important part of your emotional maturity. If you've ever heard somebody say emotional maturity, that's what that is, accepting it whether you like it or not, because everybody has a right to their own free will.